This is the Awkward GM Corbin. Today we will be going over the game mechanics of ghosts, spirits, and angels. Ghosts, spirits, and angels are all classified as ephemeral entities. Ghosts are the imprint of dead people and destroyed objects. Spirits are the representation of concepts, while angels are created by the God Machine and can come in whatever form it wishes to give them. Quashmalem are angels in the Promethean game line. Their best comparison for them is the blue fairy that brings Pinocchio to life in the fairy tale Pinocchio. Hedge ghosts are usually objects or people that get swept up in the hedge and manifest as ghost-like creatures. Goetia are beings of pure thought and concept from the astral. They're mainly encountered by mages. There are other ephemeral entities as well, but there are a lot that I'm not familiar with. Think of it as this way. If the creature you created can walk through walls and possess people, it might be prudent to use the ephemeral entity rules for them instead of a normal character in BC. All ephemeral entities only have 3 attributes they have to worry about: power, finesse, and resistance, and do not have any skills. For low-ranked entities, this can be an issue, but the higher the ranked entity, the more dice they have in those attributes. All ephemeral entities have a rank to denote their power level. Rank 1s are typically very weak, while rank 5s are very dangerous. Rank 6 and higher entities are so powerful that they don't tend to show up in games, and if they do, they don't have stats, because it is assumed that anything rank 6 or higher is too powerful for even a power level 10 player. Corpus replaces an ephemeral entity's health boxes. But unlike normal NPCs, they don't suffer wound penalties if they get injured too much. Essence is their resource to fuel their manifestations, noumena, influences, and to use other abilities. A ban is a compulsion that the entity must do. Lower rank beings usually have commonly occurring or detrimental ones that can range from not being able to talk to never lie. Higher ranked beings might have harder ones, such as they must pray in the presence of the current pope. Banes are usually objects that cause aggravated damage to the being, even while in Twilight. This too varies by rank. A rank 1 entity might have fire as their bane, while a rank 5 might be the One Ring prop from the original Lord of the Rings movie. When in the material world, ephemeral beings lose 1 essence per day or 1 essence per hour if they aren't in the presence of a suitable condition, such as an anchor for ghosts, resonance for spirits, or infrastructure for angels. Twilight form is when a being enters the Twilight. The Twilight is kind of a layer of reality where people can't touch or see you unless they are also another being of the same type in Twilight with you, or if they use a magical ability to do so. When the essence of an entity reaches 0, it enters hibernation. If this happens to a ghost while it has no anchors, it is sucked into the underworld. If it's a spirit, it is returned to the shadow. And then angels just remain dormant where they are until another angel retrieves them. All ephemeral entities can spend essence to boost their stats or detect ways to gain more essence. They can also regain essence if they are nearby an appropriate condition, usually the resonant condition. If entities need, they can also attack other beings of their same type to steal their essence. So spirits to spirits, ghosts to ghosts, angels to angels. Ghosts have it easiest to regain essence. If someone living remembers them, they gain 1 point of essence. So famous ghosts gain essence more often. Spirits roll to feed off of a resonant object or person, and if they still are in the shadow, the roll is penalized by the gauntlet's strength, because the shadow doesn't naturally have resonance to feed on. Angels can regain essence when someone sacrifices something in their name. This is why a lot of exiled angels will create cults where cultists sacrifice objects and people to them. Ghosts can be created when a person dies or when they have a near-death experience. All ghosts have a starting rank based on their integrity level at death, but they gain ranks when they drink from one of the rivers of the underworld. If a ghost attacks a ghost 2 ranks or lower from them, their attacks do aggravated damage. Also, if a ghost needs to, they can bite another ghost to steal essence. Spirits are created from an idea, emotion, or object that is created in the material. They start off as a dormant rank 0 spirit, but as they feed on essence, they can grow and rise in rank. There are no rules for advancing spirits like ghosts do in Geist, but the totem spirits used by werewolves rise in rank when their attribute dots surpass their threshold of that rank. Spirits also use reaching noumena to target people on the other side of the gauntlet. Angels are created by the God Machine for a specific mission. Their rank is set at creation, and there is no way for it to progress higher. Incepts are one of the few abilities that angels get that other ephemeral entities don't. Think of them like cheat codes for reality. You can find incepts in the Demon the Descent Storyteller's Guide. If an ephemeral entity reaches 0 corpus, it erupts into an ephemeral representation of their nature, such as fire spirit blowing up into ghostly flames, or a nerdy angel exploding into a pile of d20s, which I've done. If the entity has at least 1 essence remaining, they don't actually die from this. Instead, they enter dormancy. Ghosts return to one of their anchors or the underworld, spirits are sent back to the shadow, and angels remain dormant in twilight where they are until another angel retrieves them. In order to get out of dormancy, the entity must regain essence equal to their total number of corpus. This can be a slow process, especially for more powerful entities. If an entity is killed without any essence at all, then they are dead for good, with no possibility of coming back. Urge are living creatures that are influenced by a fettered ephemeral being, which I'll cover next. This isn't a possession, instead the host behaves normally while the entity can only make suggestions to the host. Think of it like someone whispering in your ear, or that urge in the back of your mind to get ice cream even though you know you really shouldn't. The fettered entity can read the surface thoughts of the urged and can tempt the target to perform an action. Whether or not they carry out that temptation depends on the person or animal being urged, and is really just up to the storyteller. The fettered are ephemeral entities that attach themselves to living beings and turn them into urged, or attach themselves to objects. This protects them against essence bleed. The target must have the open condition on them, which the entity can cause by using their influence power to upgrade a resonant condition to an open condition. While attached to an urge, the entity must remain within twilight around the target. For some fettered, they are small enough to even reside within the urged body. Actually, they don't even have to be small. They can just sort of superimpose themselves over the urged. On the other side, the fettered can use their influences at a 1 essence discount on their urged target, but cannot use their influence or noumena on other people or objects. So a fettered might be able to send a vision of the future to their urged, but they can't use the blast noumena against an attacking enemy. It should also be noted that while the fettered has a ban and bane, the urge does not inherit those. They don't have it. Possession is not permanent in Chronicles of Darkness. It lasts for 1 scene or an hour, though the possessor can try to possess as soon as the previous possession finishes. An entity must have created either the open or urge condition on their target in order to possess them. This also protects them from essence bleed. Since the possessor has to enter the host body, the ban and bane of the entity now apply to the host. However, they cannot use their noumena or influences at all. Instead, they can heal their host's body by spending essence. This is required if you're going to possess a corpse, though it doesn't bring the person back to life once the entity stops possessing them. If the entity possesses an object, it can roll its finesse in order to cause the object to do something, such as driving a possessed car or using a possessed computer's web browser. When possessing a person or corpse, the possessor can spend an essence to use its ephemeral stats instead of its host body stats. This can be useful for more powerful beings, but rank 1 or 2 entities likely will have lower stats than their hosts. While possessing a living being, their stats are penalized, -4 for social and mental rolls, and -3 for physical. They can also read their target's mind at a -4 penalty. Note these penalties are reduced by a number of days the target has been feathered to a minimum of 0. Note, this is fettered, not possessed. So after 3 days, the possessor can make physical rolls at no penalty, and after 4 days, they don't have to apply any penalties to anything. It should be noted that possession is usually left for emergencies, as it only lasts for a scene. It's not something that the possessing entity would do for a long time, because it can actually be very costly. Claimed is when an ephemeral entity merges with their host body to form a singular entity. This protects against essence bleed, much like the previous manifestations I've talked about. Becoming claimed requires the host to have the urge condition prior, and the claiming entity must have both the fetter and possess manifestations. This can be done in 2 ways. Either A, the host has been possessed a number of times equal to the total willpower of the possessor or host, whichever is higher, or B, the entity uses the control influence to upgrade the open condition to the controlled condition, which allows the entity to turn the host body into a claimed. When a claimed is created, it keeps its influences but loses access to its noumena. Instead, it gains access to dread powers and supernatural merits. Claimed use the host body's stat line much like the possessed do. As a bonus, the ephemeral entity's attribute dots are distributed 1 dot per day to the host body. For instance, if the host has a strength of 5 and the ephemeral entity has power 2, after 1 day the host's strength can go up to 6, and after 2 it can go up to 7. Unless you want to distribute those points across other power stats such as intelligence or presence. Since this is a merger of the entity and the host, the claim's body is mutated. For instance, the human form might look normal at the start, but as it gains these stat increases, it will gain claws and other human characteristics. A fire spirit claimed might have flames from the side of my head. That being said, a more social entity like a socialite ghost might make their host body look inhumanly beautiful to the point at which it recruits cultists to worship it. The claimed gains the ban and the bane of the ephemeral entity, and since it's now a material being, it can no longer enter its twilight form. Claiming a non-living entity is easier than claiming a living one, which rolls against becoming claimed. But for the non-living claimed, every 3 days its body begins to deteriorate. When any of its physical stats reach 0, its body disintegrates and the ephemeral entity enters dormancy. When a non-living claimed is created, it has no social or mental stats. Instead, it has to acquire those when it gains stats from the gestation period. If it's an object, it starts at 0 dexterity as well, as opposed to a corpse. So its first attribute to raise should be its dexterity, or else it will just fall apart. I just noticed I was over the image of the rail golem, which I put there specifically so that people could find out more about like what a claimed non-living object would be. Please check out Malifaux. It's a great game. Not sponsored. Becoming claimed is permanent unless the ephemeral entity can be convinced to leave peacefully. Even then, the host body is scarred by the mutations and the memories of what they have done while claimed, and their virtue and vice are changed to that of the entity that made them claimed in the first place, which can be difficult to manage if the angel that claimed them had the virtue of mayhem and the vice of murder. So it's no wonder that many kill claimed instead of trying to reason with them. If you like this, please send a couple bucks my way through PayPal via my Ko-fi account, link in the description below. Like the video to help other people find these videos, subscribe to help other people find my channel, and hit the bell icon to help keep my returning viewership numbers up so that other people find the channel as well. Hopefully you can use this as a frame of reference for running these characters in your own game. This script is 6 pages long, and hopefully it's been at least somewhat entertaining. All the rules I've gone over can be found in the free rules for Chronicles of Darkness and the rules found in Werewolf the Forsaken, Geist Sin Eaters, and Demon the Descent. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one. Oh man, this one got me a little. So I decided to go over all of the mechanics for ephemeral entities in one go instead of just doing the mechanics for spirits, ghosts, and angels separately, just because they're all sort of unified and uniform. Like it makes it really easy to run ephemeral entities in games. Like you don't have to worry about knowing the difference between a ghost, an angel, and a spirit. Usually you can usually just get by with the rule, like these rules in particular. As I motion to my screen off to the left, and I can see myself motioning. It's kind of weird. Camera's right there, script's right there. I'm not looking at a script right now though, because honestly I like to just freeform the end bit here. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.